Good morning, Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Joe Jaquin, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group. Hour number 2. Welcome, Phoenix. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. By the way, great one today. I love you. Ramon's really good. But some days, like anything else, some days are better than others. It's like this show. Some days I'm like, wow, that was really good. And other days I'm like, wow, that show stunk. You know what's funny is a lot of times the stinky shows I do better. Maybe I should do more of those. But today, great website today. Make it part of your daily routine. John Williams from Shadow Stats. You know why I like John is because first of all, he's older. So he's been around a long, long time. And he's the one guy that's kept track of all the changes the central bank has made to the data to rob us. And that's really, and I don't mean that, to scare anybody or overstate the reality. All the changes they've made to the economic data is to impoverish. Because that's what they do. That's what central banking is. People, it amazes me that they don't really figure it out. They control the voice. They control the message till they get what they want. And hour number 1, we are talking about, obviously, the news of the day. Right, this great trade deal with China that was going to happen any second. Yeah, no. Right, Trump's now talking, hey, tariffs, right? China's not playing ball. And I was explaining in hour number 1 how because of our great system, we've allowed for our bankers and our big corporations, and remember, you got to remember this. They changed all the laws to allow what's happened today to happen. But they did this, and John Williams, he's on USA Watchdog. Go out to our website. And he's not a screamer and a yeller. He's more of just a matter-of-fact guy. And he'll give you the numbers of, hey, this is the way we account for it today. By the way, if we went back, some laws we changed and rules we changed in the 80s, some in the 90s, right? So between really I'll call it the Greenspan era, between 1983 and 1994, the central bank changed more things in how they count from unemployment to inflation and job. I mean, all of it. Changed it all. And the biggest thing was all of it was against us. It hurt us, right? Why change the unemployment report? Why? Well, we want things to look better than what they are. Does that help or hurt? Have you ever, does it help or hurt? When you try to hide something, does it help or hurt? Why change inflation? That was an easy one. Right? That was so when you got old, you got less money. Right? That was a Social Security thing. They already took away pensions. Right? Now they want to limit Social Security, and for good reason. They know we're not going to be able to pay for it. The money's going to be so devalued by then that we don't have a chance. But what happened? We found somebody in our thirst for profits who didn't think the way all of our other quote-unquote friends did. They didn't view trade as free. They don't put the corporation in front of the country. They don't believe in no borders. Right? They believe what country is first. And who was it, Kennedy? Ask not what you can do for what you can, what is it? What your country can do for you, but what you can do for the country. Thank you, Arlene. It's Monday. Right? That's how they look at it. Hey, you want to come over here? What can you do for us? Tell you what, here's what we think you can do. Right? Give us all your technology. Tell us how you built everything. And let us own the majority of the company that's here, and we'll call it even. When we return, I'm going to tell you what we bought. 800-951-0592. That is the toll-free number. Gold just went positive here, 1282 and change. Silver fighting its way back as well, 1485 on silver. Obviously, the news of the day, Dow's down. And it's early yet. About 240 points right now as President Trump said the imminent trade deal with China, not so imminent. And that China's been stalling. And remember, China doesn't view it the way we do. They never have. And the blame on all of this, right, goes back, right, that nothing happens without the central bank, and they wanted this, right? The productivity miracle, and we're going to grow our way out. And remember, they told you that we were going to be supplying these poor Chinese folks with all their stuff. Well, let me tell you how it breaks down. Do you know what we buy the most of from China? Computers and electronics. It's not even close. That is by far the largest thing we buy. And, of course, I start thinking immediately of companies like Apple, right? This Cisco Systems, and they don't make anything here. And yet we call them American companies. No. They get the benefit of our court system. They get the benefit of the American financial system. But they actually don't want to do business with America. Right? They want, and I know sometimes I feel like I'm a liberal. But this is what happened. Right? Yeah, Apple's got the ritzy corporation over there in Cupertino or wherever it is in California. Now, they're technically, let's be fair, Apple says they're not our employees, they're Foxconn's employees. Yeah, okay. However you want to slice it up. The next on the list is electrical equipment, which, kind of is a pretty broad thing, but I think of where I grew up, Cross Hines was a major lighting company in Syracuse. Gone. Where did they go? Now you know. Here's where they went. Right? All the wiring, all the electrical stuff, it's all made in China. Followed closely by what they call miscellaneous manufacturing. right? The catch-all apparel, right? Our clothing, machinery, furniture, fabricated metal. Really? We can't build that here? We could. Just don't want to. Why? It's cost too much. Why? Because the central bank keeps devaluing the money. Don't you get it yet? You know why we didn't need free trade in the 1800s? You know why we didn't need free trade in the early 1900s? We were on the gold standard. Inflation didn't exist. It cost the same amount of money in 1850 as it did in 1900. Now we can't even keep track. Now we got to lie about how much stuff costs. Leather? Oh, a lot of leather. I thought we had all the cows here. We ought to get rid of the cows. Leather. Almost $20 billion. Let me give you a great example. We import more leather. Because apparel's in a different category. I'm not sure. Baseball mitts? I don't know. Footballs? We import more leather, just under $20 billion, than our largest export to China. Which I think all of you know the answer. What's our largest export to China? Farm goods, right? Soybean, wheat, stuff like that. $15 billion. Plastic and rubber, right? Another big export from them. Textiles, another big export from them. Our biggest export, farm crops, transportation equipment. Now that's a real fancy word for Boeing. And it wasn't a number as big as I thought. It's only $10 billion. It's not that many planes. I mean, a plane's like $100 million bucks, at least. Oil and gas, $7 billion. By the way, also this weekend, China announced a major natural gas partnership with the United States? No. With Russia. Waste and scrap. Wait, let's see. 1, 2, 3. The fourth biggest export to China. Waste and scrap. Right? That's all your recycled stuff. You know, here's the funny thing. People don't realize this. If China really wanted to be mean, hey, we're not taking any of your garbage anymore. It would, you know how quick everything would back up? we would have recycled stuff everywhere. Waste and scrap, minerals and ores, and forestry products, which is $1 billion, those last two. So that's the relationship we have. Now, what genius decided these agreements were a great idea? That's what I want to know. When they were writing this down, right? Nobody, not one elected official was like, hey, wait a minute. This is a terrible idea. Of course, you know the problem is before you know what's in the bill, you got to pass the bill. And I remember all of that happening because I was an idiot back then in the mid-'90s. I believed everything Fox News said. I'm like, yeah, free trade got to be great. Right? Tech stocks were the way to go. Oh, I was a big believer in that. And, of course, they were selling it to us that way. It's what they wanted us to believe, but that wasn't the reality. The reality was they were ripping out the heart of the United States. And now they're like, okay, you know what, China? We want to play fair now, right? Right? Like Trump said, hey, you know, these were bad deals. And he's right, they were terrible deals. The problem is the misconception was that China thinks the way we think. They don't. They don't. You know how they think? They think real simple. How's this good for us? Period. Now we want them to agree to something that what? Isn't going to be good for them. It's going to be hard to do. I don't know if Trump can do it or not. I don't know. I don't think so. That's my problem. My problem with it, and I've thought this the whole time. They're not going to agree to this stuff. They're going to be like, why? What they'll agree to is, hey, okay, well, we'll buy more stuff. We'll buy $20 billion worth of farm stuff. We got 1.4 billion people. Got to feed them. All right, how about we'll buy some oil and natural? We'll never get there that way. And this is really the problem that we have. Because if we really, truly want it back, Wall Street's going to be about 5,000. Right? We're going to have to pay the American worker $30 an hour, give them their pensions back, pick up trucks $100,000, entry-level homes, probably $500,000, middle, the upper middle class homes between $1 and $3 million. Right? The cost to go to college is, probably going to be $100,000 a year, maybe 200 to the high class stuff. That's what it's going to take. Or we go back to the gold standard. I know they don't want that. Right? Seriously, when you think about it, what do you think's going to happen? Why would China want to negotiate? We're running trillion-dollar deficits and really closer to $2 trillion. We've got this huge problem called entitlements, right? Well, I'll tell you, we actually fixed the problem once, and then they spent it. And let's face it, the rest of the world's not thrilled. How about this today? Did you see that the European nations are now saying we're going to ignore the United States and on the ban on Iranian oil? That was in the headlines today. Even Canada's going at us, saying, hey, if you can't start helping us deal with China, right, then we're going to have a problem. Because, we got the Canadians to go arrest the Huawei lady, and now China's being mean to them. And then you start thinking about internally here. The wasteland that is America's turning into. There's this article talking about inflated and overpriced retail real estate, turning Manhattan into a wasteland. They show Manhattan, all the windows are boarded up because no one can afford the rents. And it's happening really everywhere. Even a town like this. Listen, Phoenix, we're one of the fastest growing places in the country. How many dead malls do we have here? How many? How's it possible with everybody moving here and they're still dead? Real simple. We still got too many, right? This is the problem. Now you go to places where they're not growing fast. And China sees this. I don't know how it's all going to end, but now they're talking about $200 billion worth of imports will immediately go to 25% tariffs on Friday. That's quick. And he's not wrong. So far, the United States has excluded Chinese-made cell phones from its tariffs. I wonder if that's going to be included this time. That's one of, you know what, I'm reading this article on Market Watch. That's the one big question they have. What would a $1,000 iPhone cost? $1,400 now? I wonder what that would do to Apple stock. Patriot Radio News Hour, halftime on a
Monday. This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report, a daily commentary continuing the conservative pro-family legacy of Phyllis Schlafly. Now, the president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, Ed Martin.
The bloated and destructive Mueller investigation is finally over. Like inspecting property damage after a hurricane, we have had to wait until this political firestorm is over to see the full extent of Mueller's destruction. Mueller's team burned through at least $25 million in taxpayer dollars, but far greater costs were imposed on Mueller's innocent victims and we, the American people. In his 4-page letter to Congress, Attorney General Bill Barr reported that the special counsel and his team, quote, issued more than 2,800 subpoenas, executed nearly 500 search warrants, and obtained more than 230 orders for communication records, end quote. They executed almost 50 orders authorizing use of pen registers, made 13 requests to foreign governments for evidence, and interviewed approximately 500 witnesses. Take note, America. Your tax dollars were used to interview 500 so-called witnesses for a crime that never took place. But the targets of Mueller's subpoenas, the victims of his search warrants, and the other innocent individuals were compelled to waste enormous time and enormous amounts of money in responding to the frightful demands by this out-of-control investigation. Each of Mueller's subpoenas probably cost an average of $25,000 to comply with. The D.C. rates for attorney's fees are among the highest in the nation. So the wasteful expense caused by Mueller's subpoenas alone racked up $70 million in costs. But even that is just the tip of the iceberg. Many of the witnesses pursued by Mueller necessarily hired attorneys for themselves, which could easily cost more than $100,000 in fees each. On top of these massive costs is the time lost by the American public and by President Trump and his administration. Overzealous prosecutions are a distraction, and it's to Trump's credit that he has not been completely distracted by it. Trump could have accomplished even more in his first 2 years in office without the constant disruption caused by this grand inquisition by the left. At one point, Trump spent several days answering questions for Mueller despite no evidence for asking them. Now it is time to lay the Russian collusion myth to rest, once and for all.
This has been the Phyllis Schlafly Report with Ed Martin, president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. And we think it's time to take Washington back from the power brokers. At phyllisschlafly.com, we're organizing a grassroots movement to stand against the deep state bureaucrats who control government. For the latest strategies, go to phyllisschlafly.com. That's phyllisschlafly.com. Thanks for listening, and join us again next time for the Phyllis Schlafly Report.
800-951-0592. The Dow is down 225 points. The S&P's down 28. The Nasdaq's down 90. Gold's up about $1.50 here, 1283. Silver just getting ready to hit positive territory here, $14.86. Today's special, U.S. $5 Liberties. These are the older $20 or $5 gold pieces, 1866 to 1907. Legal, lawful, constitutional tender. Think about what $5 buys today. Doesn't even buy 2 gallons of gas. Doesn't even buy 2 gallons of gas. You know, but maybe a gallon of milk's like $5, isn't it? Right? $5. Maybe get a couple loaves of bread, maybe if you don't buy the fancy kind. Back in 1866, all the way up through 1907, you had $5 in your pocket. Dude, you're a big deal. Right? You were taking your buddies out for drinks. Right? You're buying the whole round of bar at the bar around. Right? A lot of places, even a Coors Light's $5, $6, $7. Don't go to a baseball game. I don't even want to know what they are there. They're $355. It's probably what it costs to buy a round of drinks for your buddies at the bar. Maybe some of them aren't your buddies, but they were there. $355 at 800-951-0592. Obviously, the news of the day, President Trump saying that effective immediately, and by immediately, by Friday, he's imposing $200 billion of Chinese goods, a 25% tariff, saying that the Chinese, listen, they're not playing ball. And again, I've said it all along. Listen, China will agree to, buy more stuff. But that's really about it. They're not interested in being fair. They never have been. Guess what? That's why people didn't do business with them for that long. Why do you think it was? They were kind of all on oxen. Right? Because people had known, hey, listen, don't do business with those guys. They only care about one thing. Themselves. They don't care about the corporate. You think they care about Apple stock? They don't. You know what they care about? Hey, Apple, what can you do for our country? That's all we care about. And that's what communism really is all about, right? It's amazing how naive we've been for so long. And I feel bad. I feel bad for the president. I feel bad for the farmers out there. This is not good news for them. I do. But what else can we do? What are our choices here? And this really just exacerbates the problem, doesn't it? I guess we're going to get the inflation now. Right? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what it is. Details are still coming in. We'll have to see how it all plays out. But again, this should have been, and you know what I guess what bothers me? Is why the media was acting, well, I know why the media was. Because they wanted you to believe that this was going to happen. I mean, when I left here Friday, every major news organization was like, deal could be done as early as this Friday. Apparently the deal that they were talking about, they misunderstood. Right? And you look at how about those of you who went, hey, my life savings, my entire retirement is predicated on this trade deal. What if China says no? And again, I think they're gonna. No. We're not gonna allow you to come in here and not help the state. I don't know if you know what the definition of communism is. Maybe you need to look it up. You know, the only deals we sign are the deals that say we win. Then what happens? I mean, the Dow's only down 225 points. That's nothing. Right? Because they want to believe what? Well, come on. They got to agree to it. It'll hurt them more than it'll hurt us. And I'll just ask you, do you believe that? I want to believe it, but I don't think that's true. I don't think that's how China looks at it at all. I think China looks at us and says, hey, we're equals. And guess what? We're still rising and you're declining. And so when we're sitting there and we're looking at how all of this is going to play out, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know. But I do know that China views things very, very differently than we do. So why people would think otherwise, I don't know. That's the hard part I have. And I think about, okay, so now we tariff and throw all these tariffs on them. How big does the tariff have to be to bring the real jobs back? 25% is still not big enough. Right? I mean, it's not. Right? And then you start thinking about, what if China says, you know what, get out? They could. I don't know. Right? All of a sudden, we got a problem. The ports, we can't take any product in because the ports are full of recycled cardboard. Right? We can't sell anything because China won't sell us any raw materials. They won't sell us any electrical equipment. I don't know. I mean, where does it end? It's a great question. I do know this. Right? Having some gold put away. This is why you buy it. You don't want it to happen. But if it does, you're going to be okay. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592. That is the toll-free number. U.S. $5 Liberty gold pieces. These are the old ones, not the golden dimes, but the old quarter-ounce $5 Liberties. They're $355 at 800-951-0592. Before 2009, the Federal Reserve did not pay interest on banks' excess reserves held at the Fed. In other words, the banks at the end of the day, if they had money left over, right? So they have to keep, I forget the number, 90, or they can loan out like 94% of your deposit, something like that. Well, if they don't loan it out, at the end of the day, they could park their money at the Federal Reserve, but there was no reason to, because they didn't pay them interest to do it. The practice was introduced as a taxpayer-funded subsidy to the banks during the crisis. Now, the crisis, according to them, has been over for a decade. Right? So think about this. The banks got the deposits, don't loan it out. And, of course, when you think about where the interest rates are, it kind of makes sense, right? Hey, it's a lot of risk for a little reward. They could just give the money to the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve will pay them. Your deposits, not lent, goes to the bank. You know that commercial that we play once in a while where I tell you about how the courts ruled that the money's not yours? This is what I'm talking about. This year alone, the central bank is going to pay $36 billion. Yep, 30. How many billions of deposits are they not lending? And why? That ought to tell you how good the economy really is. But think about if that went into your bank accounts instead. $36 billion is the cost to the Treasury. This is not quite half of the amount we spend on food stamps. So this is like food stamps for the bank. J.P. Morgan, Jamie Dimon, you're such a great guy. And I know that you want to sell your credit cards to the Chinese. But we feel bad for you. Here's $6 billion of food stamps for you. And don't worry, Citigroup and Bank of America, and now your American Express and Goldman Sachs. Really? They need welfare? Wells Fargo, who literally ripped off every single customer they've ever had, gets welfare. $36 billion. You know what? I know how to cut the deficit by $36 billion. I mean, that's an easy one. Why is it that the central bank gets to decide that? Shouldn't the government be the one deciding that? We bailed them all out. They were all out of business. Shouldn't they be paying us? Think about it, right? Let me give you that number again. 800-951-0592. How bad is it really? What would their profits look like without the $36 billion? Would there be profits? Does Jamie Dimon, should he be enriching himself? And I say Jamie Dimon because he's the one that, he's the most popular of the group. Is this what we had in mind? This is capitalism? It's not capitalism. It's government welfare. I mean, it's kind of just like the Chinese. And the Chinese are like, hey, you're a state-run institution. You work for us. I wonder if that's how it works. You ever think that Jay Powell uses that when he's talking to them? Hey, get out of line, and we'll cut off your food stamps. $36 billion. Here's the funny thing. I got a bad feeling that number's going to go up. Right? The inverted yield curve, all of these things, doesn't make any sense. I wonder where Wall Street would be if the banks didn't have the welfare. I just want to know. Just be curious. Why do they say that they need it 10 years after the crisis is over? If this is the best economy ever, see, something's not right. I don't know what it is. Eric keeps talking about an event. What do I know? But I know something's not right, and you need to be prepared. Those U.S. $5 Liberties, $355, 800-951-0592. The man himself just walked into the studio when we come back from the break. Eric will be joining us and getting ready for the Eric Cedarstrom Experience. And remember, you can follow along at 1360khnc.com and catch the next 2 hours that way. Final segment, Patriot Radio News Hour, 800-951-0592. Don't forget our metals plan, too. By the way, I'm extending the 10% bonus till further notice. That's how good it's been. That's how popular it is. I'm happy to do it. If you want more details for that, head out to allamericangold.com. Click on the metals program along the top there. You get all the details. U.S. $5 Liberty gold pieces. Man, it is amazing to think how little $5 is anymore. $355 at 800-951-0592. Eric Cedarstrom's in the house. Happy Monday.
How you doing, man?
I'm excited.
Did you catch the Derby?
Oh, boy.
Is that something? Think about the sporting events that have been decided by just, arbitrary calls in the last 6 months, NFL games, championship games, just a hockey game, basketball. Guy should have fouled out, then makes the three-point winner.
Shot. Yeah, right.
I mean, the liberals are getting involved in all of this. They have to be part of it. I mean, it is just amazing. What is acceptable in today's society, this would have never. I mean, the Kentucky Derby, that would have never flown ever. But you look at where we're at today. You look at how the Kentucky Derby has become the Phoenix Open of horse racing. That the who's who is there. I mean, it's now become very très chic to be seen in Kentucky in the pouring rain drinking mint julep with a big hat on. If you're not there, you're not anybody. So it's just becoming this, what was once the sport of kings, probably the most conservative of the sports, for all racing, was horse racing. Generally country people, rural people that understood, how to make this game work, and now it's just, I'm stunned. I was stunned watching it.
If it wasn't for the money, and it still may not happen, horse racing would be done.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Dog racing's about over, right? Because it's cruel to the animals, right? Horse racing,
not if you're the dog who wins. Every now and then they should let them catch the rabbit. And they can all maul the thing, so it would make it a lot better sport. They used to have them just run into a net. You ever seen that?
No.
Oh, yeah, they used to do that years ago. So they come around and the rabbit be going, and then as they're heading into the finish line, the rabbit just disappears into the rail, and this big net pops up, and all the dogs, the term dog pile, if you've never seen it. So they just, these dogs just all run into this net, they pile all up. And then the owners come in, they go, okay, this one's yours, 7. They just grab them by the collars. This one, you're 5, they just pull them out. Yeah, if you've never seen that, I'm sure you can't find it anywhere. Well, rodeo, how about rodeo? They will not show on television the calf being roped anymore. So that is not allowed to be on TV. The guys, the ropers that take off after the calf, he's got the tie in his mouth. They're waiting for the calf to take off. He takes off and runs out of the screen. And then the guy's following him on the horse and ropes him. And, when the calf hits the end of that rope, it just flips the calf around. And then the guy's on him, ties up 3 legs, and holds his hand in the air. So kind of like if you have young children at home trying to catch a 2-year-old. What's today's special, Joe?
$5 Liberties, $355, 800-951-0592. Go to 1360 KHNC.
I'll be back for the next 2 hours. Flip over 1360 KHNC. You can listen live. Eric Cedarstrom, Patriot Radio News Hour. We're out of here. Moving on over. We'll see you there.